here he is on the screen. Hey, Claudiu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us today. You've got a much better lighting setup than I have over here, so congrats on that. I tell you what, can you check and see if you've got slides, right? Or you can do a share, test your share out here.
Okay.
That is working perfectly.
Perfect.
And just to let you know, we got I've already eaten up about 4 minutes of this. So it's about 45 minutes, 55 minutes. And then at the end, we'll be, gathering up some questions. We'll do a little Q&A with you. It'll be easy peasy. Sound good?
Yep. Sounds great.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Claudio, and he's going to introduce himself and give you a little bit of background on what he does in his industry. Thanks.
Thank you. So I will start with thank you for inviting me for this meetup. My name is Claudiu. I'm a software testing expert, and today I will talk about tech priests. Now, before I start the presentation, I would like to tell everyone that the Latin portion of the presentation have been tested. There were no sudden summonings or filling immediately after, so all is good with that. We are safe. Now, before starting, I would also like to add an old Latin prayer for luck and success. It goes like this: Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet. Thank you. Now, let's start. Now, this is how I look in Greece. And I'm going to start talking about this talk and how it got to be. So the first seed of this talk was planted 2 years ago at Expo QA. I was staying at a childhood friend, and he was telling me about tech priests in the Warhammer universe. And the idea sounded so great that I went and I investigated. And I learned that the first rendition of this idea was in Isaac Asimov's work. So I went and read all the books that are related to tech priests and stuff like that in sci-fi. And that reading was so inspiring that I decided to name my company from it, but I will speak more about this at the end of the talk. Now, I am a storyteller, as you might have observed. This is how I'm thinking. This is how I'm keeping myself coherent. I'm trying to tell stories I found about this. When I was asked if I have a visual or a mathematical thinking, and I realized I don't have either. And I only think in stories and ways of branching ideas and things about possibilities. Now, I'm also a humanist. I value empathy, compassion, respect, and adaptability. I think humans are the most important part in the engineering world, and everything we do is a story made by human for human, and the product that we build is the evidence that we've been here. I'm a communication specialist. I have a bachelor degree in communication science, and I've been studying communication after I finished my studies for bachelor, and I had previous talks about communication science, and I will also touch a bit in this talk some important parts of communication science. I also have industrial design and graphical engineering degree, and now I'm a context-driven software tester, and I will speak about the faith aspect in this thing. So it goes with "Without testing, there's only faith" by James Bach. Yeah, so I believe there is always a degree of faith. We can never test comprehensively, so we have to believe that what we didn't test work, or we have to assume the risk. Now, let's move forward. In the 40K universe, this is how tech priests look like. They are cyborgs that believe that sentience is holy. They also try to remove the body that is fallible. So everything that can be improved, better healing systems, better mobility, better resilience will be updated. But sentience and the way of thinking is holy, and people and these um, fanatical cultists of the machine always preserve their brains and their thinking and their humanity like that, even though they look very little like humans in this picture. Now, I will tell you a story about the tech priest, and yeah, this was the seed that generated the whole journey that ended in this meetup. So imagine a world in which technology is illegal. There is no new technology. There is no new building of technology, and the old technology is maintained by religious rituals that contains, let's say, rituals of changing the oil or the songs of powering up a machine. This is how. Oh, sorry. This is how the tech priest act, and this is how the universe in which they are considered the main engineers, they are the providers of technology work. Now, this cult has universal laws. So in the fantasy world, in the sci-fi world, there is this is a religion, so it has to have laws. It has to have a vocabulary that is sanctimonious. It has words in Latin, let's say. So most of the laws is about deity and war and machines and all of that. Some of the laws I thought were important for this talk, and I picked them up. So third law is sentience ability is the ability to learn the value of knowledge. This is about agency. This is about what are we going to do with the data we gather. Then the intellect is the understanding of the knowledge. Similar, it's building upon each other. And then in a very weird writing, is the basis, sentience is the basis form of intellect. It's mandatory to have agency in order to understand the knowledge, in order to have intellect. Now, the second half of the universal laws are warnings. So the warnings, the one that stood out was the soulless sentience is the enemy of all. And this is referring to an old war between abominable intelligence and the Imperium, and it was declared that tech priests without sentience, without humanity, are unholy, let's say. Now, in the cult mechanicus, there are many rituals that are passed through generations and wrapped in mystery. So the main examples that I gave were very simple and easy to understand: changing the oil of the car, powering up machines. Now we are talking about sci-fi universe with very complicated technology that is maintained while working at black boxes of technology. So the understanding of why things work is not there. They understand that it must be performed in a certain way to work, but not really know why. Nice parallel I found while doing the research for this talk was that it was a parallel between, imagine the car manual is treated as a holy book, the changing of the oil is done with song and precise gestures. Now, in this world also exists machine spirit. The machine spirit is the soul of the machine. If the rituals are done right, if the machine is respected enough, the machine spirit will keep the machine alive even in unfavorable conditions. So this is the belief. And if the ritual is not done right, the machine might not start, or it might stop when it's needed the most as a way of retribution. Now, this whole universe that was built in the 40K Warhammer fantasy started with the mayor story from the foundation books of Isaac Asimov. The original story is short. It's about a small planet of scientists with no resources and no defenses that traded technology to survive. So they traded nuclear technology with their neighbors in order to get food and not being attacked by them. So they were technologically advanced, but didn't have the resources to support themselves. Now, when the neighbors discovered that they have nothing left to gain from the small scientist community, they decided to destroy them and keep all the power for themselves. And when the threat was made, the scientists decided to make the lights flicker and give a planet-wide signal that the machines are unpleased with this decision. This was the original story. I tried to keep it spoiler-free, so it's a mutation of the original story. It's still great to read it. I think it was also in the TV show, the first one. Yeah. Now let's move to rituals. So I will step out of the weird sci-fi cults and religion. Now rituals are beneficial to us. It's a way of becoming part of a tribe. Are usually have symbolic meaning. They have a root that is hidden for the outsiders. So the insiders perform the rituals to be part of the company, tribe, society, and to be a group of a tribe, basically. So now I will transition to software testing. It's been well, the introduction. Now, when we're talking about rituals, I listed some of them. Now, the benefit of rituals in this context is that they are rooted in history and in value. So this is not criticism. It's not about saying that these kind of behaviors are wrong. It's just that if it is done without purpose or proper understanding, is performed as a ritual that can be helpful. Now, the requirements compulsion, this is something that I did in the beginning as a junior tester that was asked to test stuff. I was demanding to get the requirements so I would have safe starting zone. So before engaging in software testing, going into looking for problems, I would quickly verify that the requirements are applied. I will do some test activities that would give me some confidence in the requirements. And from there, I would go and look for bugs. But the minimum was requirements based. I always wanted to have my back covered. So I understand why this was where this comes from. Now this year at the conference, I during a workshop I asked the people to test the mobile app that exists, and I got students asking me to provide the requirements so they can begin testing, which I understand where they come from, but might not be necessary to start testing, especially in a one-day workshop. Now, documentation-driven test strategies. This is related to the requirement compulsion. The idea came from on LinkedIn post, and there's a clear delimitation between test strategy and test strategy documentation. The example here is if you want to buy a car and you want to do a test drive of the car, you have an idea of what you're going to test, and if you are being asked what is your strategy to test for your test drive, and you're provided with a test strategy document, you might start filling environments, tools, test activities, risks that might be useful, might not be useful. I think documentation-driven test strategies is a reminiscence of a way of building this kind of documents. So you're supposed to be inspired by them, get ideas, and articulate your test strategy. But if you lose the purpose of automation, purpose of testing, then you will just fill the field so the template is covered, and you'll have a test strategy in place or somewhere on Confluence. The best practices incantations sound like we have to have boundary value analysis, we have to have positive flows, negative flows, error handling, data integrity checks, which are all super useful and powerful, but must have is a very hard word of putting the way of testing. Some of these are necessary for most of the applications, but if you're going to do a test drive for your car and you start doing boundary value analysis for horsepower or fuel tank or I don't know washer fluid, then it start losing its its meaning. Now I will step a bit back to do the parallel. And if I'm trying to connect the software testing to the tech-first idea, is that we try to replace or augment our body that is slow or soft or failable with tools that can show our experience, our years, our dedication. So we increase in rank, and we have in our CVs a long list of tools, technologies that might communicate that we are worthy of the job, of the role that we hold. So we can imagine the augmentations as cyborg tools. I saw many expert software testers on LinkedIn that have cyborg in their description, as well as amphibious, and I think it is related to exactly this. It's the ability to build software to help you, the ability to use complicated tools that can help you test with a more powerful, in a more powerful way. Now, in the automation rituals, I'm going to list 3 powerful, useful, very common ways of doing automation. So we'll start with change detectors. This is one of the most powerful ways of using automation, is to build this tripwire that can inform us that something has changed in a part of the software. That might require testing, might require attention, or it's expected to change based on what we did in the software. We can build these change detectors at many levels. We can build at unit levels, system levels. We can have end-to-end scenarios that do multiple change detectors, and this has been very useful to most of the industry. So we've been doing this in the past. We've been doing this without programming. Now there are tools that promote that they can do this quicker and easier. And I think this becomes a ritual when you jump right in order to cover requirements or try to cover some behaviors that are immediate return of investment, immediate value, without thinking if this can be built in a bigger strategy. Now, the second type of automation tool is testability hooks. Here we are talking about configuration JSONs, YAMLs, special visibility tools, ways of pausing the system, adding criteria. This is the debug mode in video games. And this can help us, empower us to do better testing. Testability enhancing tools. This is page object models, special ID for automations, visibility tools, test data generation. This is the kind of automation that is beneficial, and we can quickly start building it without having a clear purpose in mind. So we can run these rituals. They're usually positive. They're heuristics that sometimes help and more often can be engaged. Now, I'm going the wrong way. Tech priests and software testers are black box artists. So even though you know how to code, even though you read code with each deployment, you go and see what changed in the code. There's always a degree of black box believed elements. It's either libraries, or it's the operating system, or maybe it's the Docker system that enables you. But the amount of knowledge on how to read what changed is highly dependent on your experience, knowledge of the tool. So basically, it's a way of reading the software that you're testing. We chase and value knowledge. Now, both for tech priest, knowledge is the ultimate commodity, is the ultimate resource. So they travel the universe to find lost human technology, and they try to understand it and conserve it and try to make it work to appease the machine spirit, while software testers try to understand the way software works, not for the purpose of replicating the software or writing your own better software. So if you're a tester at, I don't know, huge, let's say Facebook, you're not learning to code so you can build your own Facebook. You're learning to code to become a better tester, to test Facebook better. So it's an interesting way of chasing technology for a different purpose than the people when we get the purpose of testing. Now, in the 40K universe, as well in the Asimov story, the priests don't understand why things work the way they are. I said this with different words. They know the dogma and the faith and the rituals, but there's always a chance that the software might be angry with them, the machine spirit might be angry with them, the software might not work even though all the songs were done properly, correctly. Maybe something happened. This is the world of fate. Yeah. Now, purposeful test automation starts with the question why. Why do we need to invest in automation? Why do we need automation to help us test? I think this is specifically important when you think that software testing is an economic decision. It's an economic profession. You always have to prioritize and to sample what you're going to test and hope that what you're testing is relevant for the purpose of your mission at the current sprint or at the moment that you're testing. So you are showing agency, you're showing sentience, you're showing that I believe we have to start with this kind of testing that might expose dangerous behaviors. Now, if you do the sampling, you do the prioritization, you say we have to start with this. There's always a time limit to how much we can test. Then the question on why are we going to invest in automation or in this automation project becomes more important. It's expensive, it's more expensive, it's more time consuming. The time invested in building the automation will be human time that has to be invested, maintenance time. So starting with why, I already went through some of the most powerful ways of doing automation that I thought of. I'm sure there are more that I missed. But starting with why we're going to do automation, we are making sure that automation we're doing help us provide a better understanding of what we are going to test, what we're going to deliver at the end of the sprint. Now, when we're talking about why we have to mention risk, now risk is what types of bugs we care about. This is the way I simplify the complex way of thinking about it. So if we are going to care about performance or security or usability or regression, for example, the way we are going to build automation will be different, will be very specific for the risk. One of the risks is regression. If you have a place to regress from, if you have a need to have a consistency in the past, but also other risks can be, is the software going to be functional? Is the data in the software safe? Can it be corrupted? Can it hurt a lot of people if some update goes wrong? Now, ritualistic test automation focuses on how instead of why. So how can we build this automation? We join a new job and we go into, let's build a framework, let's build test cases, let's have an ID, let's have this net of change detectors of tripwire that will inform us if something changed. And we will focus a lot on technology, we'll focus a lot on what kind of tools can help us the best, what kind of tool helped us in the past. And we will do it before asking if the kind of automation we're doing is the kind of automation that is beneficial for the software at that moment, or for the current release, or for the next release. Now, in the ritualistic test automation, in which we hit the ground running without thinking about the why, flakiness is feared. I changed the word and I left a not there. It is feared. So when a test passes and then the next run it fails, and then it passes again and then it fails again, it looks like the machine spirit is not sure, is not clear if he's happy or not with you. So instead of perceiving it as an opportunity to learn why you misunderstood in building the test that way, you are aiming to make it green as soon as possible, as fast as possible. There's also questions about scalability, or how can we guarantee quality, which oftentimes translates directly to volume, as many tens of thousands of change detectors as possible, that we can guarantee that things will let us know as quickly as possible if something changed, which proved in the past and proved in many projects that is a good way of using this tool. But at the same time, quality is always about the relationship between people and the software. And if you aim to guarantee that all the people will be pleased with the software, including team, CEOs, clients, people that don't use the software but are impacted by it, then it can be a very expensive investment, and something that can be very expensive to deal with if something fails. Now, I will go a bit into the communication science. I will explain the theory, then I'll go into software testing, and then I will link to what I just said earlier. Now, In communication, there is always a sender and a receiver. There's always a message, and the message is sent to a channel. In the current situation, I'm the sender, you're the receiver, the channel is the restream platform, and the channel might have noise. Noise might look like messages, might look like I don't know, noises or lights or some loss of focus. At the same time, a receiver has a filter that if I said something that contradicts their beliefs, they are free to close the talk. They're free to close the communication, say, I'm not interested in listening this. I have an idea of this, of the subject of the talk, and I'm not engaging. And that's the power of the receiver. Now, the sender is encoding the message in a way. It says, I want to say something to the receiver, and I want to make sure that the receiver understands what I'm saying. Now, there is no way for the sender to make sure that the receiver decodes the message in the right way. So when the receiver receives the message, it's decoded in a very personal, experienced, fueled way. So some words might be triggering, some expressions might be no-goes. I know I'm doing this a lot. Now, when the feedback message is sent back, the whole schema flips. Now the receiver is the sender, and the sender is the receiver. All of this communication happens in an environment. The environment can contribute to the noise or can contribute to the value of the words. So some words might mean something different at work, at school, at church, whatever. Now, to move this into testing, if, let's say, the sender is the engineering team that is developing the software, as the developers, scrum masters, project managers, leads, they are the sender. The message is the code they're writing. There's like, this is what we encoded, we put together, we push to staging, and that's the message that is going to be delivered through a channel on a Docker container. And the receiver is going to be the testing team or the tester that's going to have to decode the message, the text, try to make sense what's happening there, and then communicate back. While the software is in testing, the tester has all the power. So the tester can decide it's not good, it's too slow, it's too, I don't know, buggy, flaky. So in this stage, the entire team, the sender is waiting for the feedback. And when the feedback happens, the roles reverse. So the sender becomes a tester that's writing a bug report, test report, Jira update, any message that says, this is what I understood from your message, this is what I decoded from the current state of the code, and I believe this is dangerous, or this needs more clarity in the purpose. And then the team becomes the receiver that can say, bug is invalid, you misunderstood. Test report is valuable if done right, or test report was not focused on something specific. Now, if I go forward, software testing and automation becomes redundant if the results of the learnings are not communicated. So if we are testing to learn how the software behaves, we are building automation to get an understanding of how the software behaves. It's knowledge that we gain and that we trade in. And some of the messages are being sent through bug reports or through day reports, test reports. But if you are doing the testing alone and you don't communicate what you find out, and you send a list of statistics that has nothing to do what you did in testing, it's a summarization that is open for interpretation, then your entire work is sabotaged. So it's think either a good tester or a bad tester or a good software development in test automation or not. the value that they provide for the company is highly related to the way they communicate what they learned about the software and how clear and safe the environment is to provide what actual they learn from. So I believe this, as soon as you start building the message in a way that is not triggering for the manager and it's can get yelled at you, then the message is either overcomplicated or you might say it's good. It's fast. It's good. It's there are some things, but it's good. Don't worry. Which I think it beats the purpose of the whole testing department team and effort of a specialist. Now, I would like to say thank you. And lorem ipsum dolor sit amet is the old Latin prayer that is for success and luck. And to close my talk, I will present the project that I've been working recently. It's called Zeroth Protocol. In the foundation books, there are rules for robotics that are famous. The first rule is don't hurt humans. Second rule is don't hurt yourself as long as you don't hurt, as long as the first rule is respected. And the third is don't hurt, don't do anything that you don't like as long as you respect the first two. Now, in the books, the robot over thousands of years developed a law before the first law that says robots should not act in a way that can hurt humanity. And that resonated so well with me because I thought software testing is the opportunity to look for possible moments in which people can get hurt. And when I'm talking about people, I'm talking about people in the team, stakeholders, financial hurt, emotional hurt, all kinds of hurt, also physical hurt, of course. So thinking about risks and having professional software testers in the team is an opportunity to learn about this. So this company that I'm creating is going to focus on purposeful testing, communication specialization, how to write reports, how to communicate what you did in testing, and then also mentoring services, automation strategy development, and training in software testing. Thank you very much. I think I've been quicker.
Yeah, you actually went fast, man. We've got 30 minutes to fill.
Oh, really?
Oh. Yeah. Hey, I've done it myself. I think I've got about an hour worth of material, and all of a sudden it's like it's gone in 25. Oh. What we're going to do is, well, questions. But I'm going to ask everybody, please throw in your question. Do a little, because you actually brought up a couple of things. Let me one item over here. I'm actually Paul can't spell the word correctly. Oh, so because I want to bring up that site. I don't know how many L's are. This is embarrassing for Polly here. One more time. zerothpaul.com. Oh my gosh, it's like 4 times. Hey, there we go. So I'm going to go share my area. If our moderator can, I'm going to go share screen over here. I want to share. Let's see. In green. Let's go for that. It's in here, and it is selecting. And here is the share. We're bringing that in just momentarily. Of course, I can't lose it once. I only have one laptop today, so I'm going to do my best. I'm going to read this a different way. So hold on. And we got for technical issues. That's the great thing is when I've only got 2 or 3 minutes, it's problematic. Let's see, I want to share this one here. Let's try that. Okay, sharing this particular window. I'm going to go get my live mode, and hopefully I still see the okay, I'm this is interesting. I'm looking at the live one. Okay, see if you can share. Go, and this appears to be the it's just sharing screen. All right, check this out. Go over to. I got 3 windows open. Is this up here? All right. So, I always ask that if we want to talk about zeroth protocol, looks really cool. So I love as tools of robotics. We should keep that in mind here that AI can take over and the Terminators are. I will tell you a week ago, or a couple of months ago, telling people don't worry about the AI because if it can't, it's not going to take time soon. I produced a little video on my YouTube channel, and during the process of producing that video, I actually live went through Wordle, and I was asking ChatGPT what would be good. First one was came up and like it cool, and then it word rifle, and that was the word it was looking for. That Wordle solved, and it occurred to me that if there were Terminators coming, probably the best would be the laser rifle. I think being honest, really needs to talk to a PR department. All right, so here's your area. You can see software testing services. Preferred, what tool are you doing?
Well, for automation, I've been played a lot with Python and robot framework, mostly Python, and usually when I'm testing, I'm using a lot of recorders. I have a video recorder that is also capturing speech. I get search by noise kind of thing in the recording, which is pretty cool. Then I have proxies for the traffic, and I also have steps recorder that try to capture what I'm doing while testing. Now, at the end of the testing done, so these are the recorders. I'm taking notes in Notion most of the time since it's quite easy to use, and I used in the past many note-taking, Evernote, some Visual Studio Code extensions, or just Word to take notes of what I'm doing, pasting screenshots. And at the end of it, I would say I think we need automation to make sure that this needs to inform us if something changed. So at the end of the testing, I put a change what's the word? A change detector in place, and
Okay.
and I keep that in mind. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep a small amount of test cases in the automation pipeline, trying to keep the amount of test cases in a maintainable volume. So if I'm testing, if I'm assigned to a part of the software and that's in my responsibility, I'm testing it thoroughly. I'm putting change detectors in place to inform me that the area that I'm testing is changing or something is important to look at.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I want to go back a couple of things. I'm sure everyone, well, a lot of people they're saying, "Hey, Java is the way to go." I'll let everybody know. I wrote a book on test automation, shameless plug, and that was actually in JavaScript and TypeScript. But I'll let you in on a little secret here. Claudiu, I love I there's issues I have with the other two languages, and when I have the book, I'm going to do it in two other languages. But first of all, I thought because it is so dense, there's so much you have to declare every object, and if you don't declare the object, the if you're missing a semicolon, find that. TestScript and JavaScript handle the semicolon. Hey, yeah, we're trying to look like Java, so the semicolon is optional. If that's great. If you that's no problem. I'll still run. Has no impact on the code, which is really cool. However, JavaScript being the language of the internet, it to build a page as fast as possible, and it does this is in parallel, which is great because they all it doesn't matter what's coming up as long as the of Bender over here comes up and this comes from another location at the same time. What order is the page? Right.
Well, 1 second. 1 second. Sounds like we have some audio problems for the past 10 minutes.
What?
In the chat.
Oh, all right. Hang on. Thank you for the chat. Haven't too much for me. Barely make out a word. Paul is gosh, you guys. Thank you, Ben. Hang on. Let me see if you improve my audio. My apologies. I am on a laptop today. It's not language. I tell you what, Claudia, more about what why do you love party with you? But go ahead.
Oh, well, I started with Java. I took a class, and it was heavy. So later on, when I was start reading code as a way of trying to understand what happened in the deployment, I realized it's not that difficult. I had the basis of programming, even though I didn't study programming. Python was very easy to get up to speed. It was like it made sense, easy to read, easy to develop, and also documentation was super easy. But the way that I learned how to use it was I built mind map of the system of what I'm planning to build. So this is the tool that I want to have. Then I went to someone that knows Python very well, and we built it together. And as soon as you know what problem you have to solve, then you just have to solve it. It's half of the work of the battle was won if you know what you want to build. And now with ChatGPT, it's even easier to ask stuff if you know what problems you want to solve and if you understand that what you're getting is a prediction of what someone might say. So it's not it's not the solution. It's just how the answer might look like from someone who knows it.
That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, and I'm testing my audio. If you guys can tell me, has my audio improved, changed a little bit? Ben, are you able to hear me? Now both audio and video are silent and frozen. Oh my gosh, we're getting really bad connections over here. Responses. If anybody can tell me if this has improved, or I can jump out and jump back in. Any responses whatsoever would be really cool. Our moderator says it looks good. Claudio says it's sounding better. So we'll continue on. Hopefully the changes I made much better. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. Oh, look at this. All right, now ask a few questions. Yes, we're good. Ask a few questions and stuff. I'm going to scroll back, by the way, Claudia. We got a few things I'm going to take a look at. Let's see what. Let's see.
I saw one about recorders. I saw in the list.
Let's see. It's an anonymous user from LinkedIn says, "What recorders do you use?" A moment ago, I actually threw up a recorder from Windows. It's okay to play with, but tell me what else do you use?
So I've been using OBS. It's free and it records in MKV system, in MKV format, which means that if anything crashes, you get the recording until the moment it crashed. So many times I forgot to stop recording. So I stopped and wake up in the morning that it recorded for many hours, or I close the computer and I don't have a scroll on the recording, but I can redo it and I don't get corruption of the whole video. So for video recording, it was mostly OBS. It's nice to play with masks and multiple sources, and I found it very easy to get on going with it. Now
Okay.
for Step Recorder, it's a Windows native application that captures screenshots for the first few clicks, and then has a small description of what you did, which if you have a timestamp of what you did with the recording, then you can scroll and do some bug investigation, what happened during testing. Super. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. So when you said recording, see, I thought of two different things. I think of the record and playback tools that are in
Oh.
part of Saber product. I personally actually am using Camtasia. I've used that for many years. And yes, I too have turned on the recorder, walked away and had dinner, watched TV, and woke up in the morning to have a 20-hour recording.
Mm.
When I get back to the computer. I am very lucky that when I bought my new computer, here's the tip: I double my drive space every time I get a new computer. So I'm now up to 2 terabytes, and it only took up about 5% of my drive for that huge video that was just looking at a screen that was doing nothing. Let's see. It says here, another anonymous LinkedIn user says, "I've noticed your approach is testing is humane and very human-centric. How did you come across this line of thought? How did your testing craft grow around that principle?"
It was a journey. So I started in video games. My dream was to build video game worlds that can create experiences as a form of art. So I was always trying to go into how I can touch the people, the human, with the work as an artist. Now, I worked in video games for 3 years. I had many jobs there. I worked in production also. And after I stepped out of video games, I discovered James Bach's lesson. It's quite old. That was so inspirational that changed the way I was doing testing in 2013. 11 years ago, I was impacted by that video, and I was there is a bias in Romania about video game testing. So when you go into software testing, people are skeptical of your testing skills. So I had to learn what is software testing, how it's done in software world, and as well as continue using my creativity and to provide information to the people that hired me. I was the only tester in the team or the company, and it was the questions were specific. Please tell me how this works. I pushed those to staging, what's happening. Many times I said it's okay. I was learning. It was it was the best I knew at that moment. But I always tried to understand how I can avoid the people getting humiliated. So I doing demo flows, trying to see. So if you're doing the demo, are we going to make a fool of ourselves? And yeah, for the past 2 years, no, yeah, while I was working for Tricentis, I worked with James Bach and Ben Simo, that are champions of the context-driven world, and I polished my skills and I got a lot of knowledge out of it. So I hope this covered that question.
I think so. I think it's good. By the way, a little side discussions going on over here. I'm mentioning that there are some anonymous LinkedIn users, and one of them said, "Paul, it's interesting that you see us as anonymous users on the systems. I can see the names of everyone," which is really interesting because that came from an anonymous user. It's not showing me the name, but not for everyone. It might be a setting on LinkedIn. There is one just came from here. So Swapna is asking, and I can see that name over there coming in from LinkedIn. This is so interesting. What do you suggest for the recent market? We need to start learning Java or Python. I've already kind of said my personal opinion, go with Python because one, and we got a little sidetracked. I think Java is really dense. It adds lots more maintenance to you. JavaScript and TypeScript, less dense, but it runs in parallel, and you have to make sure that you are forcing your commands to run either with promises or there's another command in there that's in order, or else you end up with a problem where you might have what I call the hello world of test automation. It's 4 steps. It's username, password, click login, verify I logged in. That's hello world. And if you do it in JavaScript without, it will try to put everything in different threads, and then it'll just reverse it, and it'll try to verify that you logged in, hit the login button, fill in the username and the password, and it comes back and says, I don't know, something went horribly wrong. This is the reason, those two things, the density and the multi-threaded on one and on the other, that's why I like Python. I'm a big fan of it, so I kind of promote it. I get that. Let me get back to the question. So that's my there are multiple frameworks in automation. How would we decide which one suits us better? Please suggest good platforms to self-learn Java and Python. I can recommend one. I will keep that. Go ahead. You can take that one, Claudio, and then I'll join in.
So the suggestion for the language, I think it's whichever is easier for you to learn. They all do programming. If you vibe better with Java, go for it. I found Python very easy to get started very, very quick. Now, what I think would be a good skill to exercise in any testing related title, management, automation, anything that has testing or testing adjacent titles, roles, should be note taking. That can be done with anything, including a pen and paper, and to document what's actually happening while you're doing automation, while you're doing documentation, and put that in your report and say, this is what I've been spending time on. Platform that is good to self-learn Java and Python. I discovered a game on Steam that has a flavor of Python that is very interactive. So I think I don't know how to answer this, what platform for self-learn, but there are many that can help you.
Well, I was trying to maybe on the fly hit that Steam link. I'm not that fast on this, but I'll give you my suggestions. I've been using this for many years. It's called Code and Game. It's part of it's free, and I think there's some part paid in there. But I always consider this: if I'm going to pay out of pocket, I'm going to reap a lot of benefits back once if whatever I'm paying for is worth it. This is Code and Game. Last time I looked, I think it was 23 different programming languages. Rust is in there, a couple other ones. And one of the things I love about Code and Game is that coding isn't for everybody. It's some people were like, oh yeah, this is great. If you're not one of those, that you're just in it for it, this actually has a coding IDE. You can see it down here at the bottom where they're typing in stuff. and it's asking you to do stuff. It'll teach you stuff about arrays and variables and all sorts of stuff. And then it has a game built into it. And they have hundreds of games. This is just one of them. And if you're able to write the code correctly, you solve the game, and then it opens up all of the solutions that everybody else has put in there. So you get the basic solution, and then you have guys who are like, hey, I think I could use a Fibonacci sequence to solve this even faster or better. That might be me. And there's a little Batman game. Batman's trying to find all these bombs in a building from the Joker. So that's what I like for learning. So I'm sharing that up on my screen over there. And now I'm just going to unshare that for the moment because it's just making an echo over there. Great stuff. Let me see. So, and by the way, that anonymous user that sent me a note, if you put your name in there, I'll give you a shout out. Like Kevin Petri over here. Kevin, he threw out a question. So, as an outsourced provider, how do you handle handoff operations to the client at the end of the participation in your gig? Claudiu.
I can't answer this question
because he never hands it off. He's going to keep it forever.
Yeah.
That's the secret between consultants. Is that we will show you all sorts. Okay, I don't mean to diss on that. It sounds a little weird. But go ahead, Claudia.
Well, I'm starting in this world of outsourced providers, so I never reached that step of handing off the operation to the client. What I did, though, in the past in multiple jobs was give reports for the immediate next purpose. So I had, for example, in 2016, I was working for a client that was working with JP Morgan Chase, huge bank, and we are going to do a sales pitch. And I went to the sales team, and I told them, what are you going to do in your sale? What are you going to present? What are you going to say? What claims are you going to do? And he was surprised. And at the end of it, I made a custom report that would empower the salesperson to speak with them and have confidence in what they're going to say in the sales meeting. So I froze the deployments, and I tried to cater to the exact needs of the client in that situation. And I think at that point I was a contractor with them, consultant, and I was building the whole test strategy that was later going to be hand off to a testing team in US at the end of collaboration.
Cool. My tip is the only I made a joke earlier. I said, he's never going to transfer it over. He wants to keep it for life. Some consultant companies do that. I've worked for a few that do that. But here's the thing: is that if you don't have somebody who is dedicated from day one to be with the consultant team to learn how it all works, you're never going to get away from them. I mean, I understand they're expensive. They build up all the cool stuff, and then you want to turn it over to somebody. But it doesn't turn over from, the last day the consultant's working to the next day the guy gets on there. You got to have them embedded in the team if you want to do that. And it's perfectly fine. That's actually, I recommend it, because your person, if they're with them, they're spending their time. By the way, automation is not a part-time project. It is a full-time project. Or in testing, it's always full-time. But have them on the team and learning from the consultants, gather as much information on that, and let them know, because consultant companies, at least at the very best, if you say we're going to switch away or we're going to have our guys take over, at least if you give them a really good product, they're going to give you a good review, good word of mouth. They're going to get more clients as they go along. And the other little secret is, if you have a successful project on one project, 2, 3, or 4 more are going to pop up, and these guys are going to say, well, who did you use for that first guy? I'm like, well, this cool company XYZ was really cool. Let me see if we got one more. I'm posting in, by the way, the links. I'm just about ready to go and post this one for Claudio's site. I'll have that in the chat. Hopefully you see that. I don't see the last one. I also put in the gaming one. I got 3 minutes left over here before we do a 2-minute break. and then we'll bring in our next speaker. Let's see what our last one is here. I just got to thank you. All right, thank you, Swabnath. I have to go back a little bit and see if there's anything else that I missed. Everybody's saying how it's working. Okay, cool. Well, I guess I don't see another question over there. You did make a good recommendation. James Bach is a really good speaker. In fact, our next speaker on here actually worked on a book with him. So stick around for that. I got to tell you, there's usually one rule that we don't do in business, which is talk about politics and religion. And you actually brought up religion in your thing. You talked about the rituals that are rooted in value. Of course, in our test automation, if you're following an agile process, you should be having stand-ups, right? And that's a ritual that we do every day, and it helps us out. You have stand-ups, or any opinions on stand-ups, Claudiu?
I think it fits the definition very well. There was value in the past, there's history about the process, and in each organization, the current state of the stand-ups is highly dependent on the team, highly dependent on what happened in the past. So there are stand-ups in which no updates is the go through, other stand-ups in which they talk how to solve problems. And I think it's a good opportunity to speak with people, but at the same time, I think since we are providing a service for the people that are working in that meeting, working with them, touching base with them is as a stand-up should not be the only occurrence that you're seeing them per day. You have to meet with each of them, see what they need, what information to test for, and yeah, it's a good opportunity to give feedback of what you find, what you did, and yeah. But I think it's a very good definition for rituals that lost their purpose over time, and each company has their own status that can be traced if you do enough investigation.
Yep. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Claudia, I want to thank you very much for this presentation. It was great talking with you, the questions and stuff. You did a great job. We definitely want to have you back in the future. I hope you have a great day and the rest of your day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and the talk. I enjoyed it. My repetition, my preparation for the talk was way longer. So yeah, it happened.
I like it. I've been there too. It's fine. We took care of it. We're all good. In fact, I think these Q&A things work out even better. Thanks a lot, Claudio. We'll catch you later. Cheers. Yep.